Hello! Today we're going to create this cool retro VHS look. It is completely procedural and works with any footage and without any third-party plugins. Let's begin! Let's create a new composition and call it VHS. I'll drop a piece of footage onto the timeline so that we can see how the effect is working. I'll add a null object and call it Control. All the effect controls and settings will be located here. Let's start with Distortion. Select a control layer, add a slider control and call it Distortion. I'll also add another one for the random seed control. Using this slider, we'll be able to get unique results for almost any aspect of the effect. Create a new solid layer. This will be a distortion map. Let's add a fractal noise effect. Set the contrast to 150, the brightness to 25, and the complexity to 5. Disable the uniform scaling checkbox and set the scale width to 10,000, and set the scale height to 60. Expand the evolution options area and alt-click on the random seed stopwatch. Then select the control layer and link the random seed parameter to the corresponding control. Then alt-click on the evolution stopwatch and type this expression, value plus time times 300. Now the noise evolution changes every frame automatically, without any keyframes, and the whole look depends on the random seed control. Let's turn the layer off and put it on the bottom of the stack. Create a new adjustment layer and call it Distortion. Let's add a displacement map effect. Select our distortion map layer as a displacement map and set the vertical displacement to 0. Then alt-click on the horizontal displacement stopwatch. Select the control layer and link the parameter to the distortion control. Let's set it to 50 to see how it's working. There are noticeable dark areas on the edges, so let's add a motion tile effect to fix this. Put it before the displacement map, check the mirror edges checkbox, and set the output width to 120. Let's also try changing the random seed control and set the distortion to 10. Or even 5. Let's add another slider control to the control layer. This one will be for the overlay. Duplicate the distortion map layer and rename it to Overlay. Put it on top of the footage layer, reset the fractal noise effect, and turn the layer on. Let's set the contrast to 1000 and the brightness to -450. Again, turn off the uniform scaling checkbox and set the scale width to 300, and set the scale height to 4 for some thin horizontal lines. Let's also set the complexity to 5. Press E twice to reveal the layer expressions and change 300 to 1000 in the evolution expression. Set the overlay layer blending mode to add. Let's also link its opacity to the overlay control and set it to 80. Let's see how it looks so far. Great! The next step is adding some vertical shake. Let's add another slider to the control layer. I'll duplicate the distortion layer, rename it to Shake and delete the effects. Now let's add a transform effect. Alt-click on the position stopwatch and select the control layer. First of all, let's add a seed random expression and link it to the random seed control, so that the shakes differ for each seed value. Don't forget to put the semicolon after the line. We want the shake to be vertical, so let's set X to just an X position value. For code readability, type X equals value 0. For the Y value, we'll use a wiggle expression. Type wiggle 5, then link to the shake control and divide the result by 5, as we don't need too much of a shake. After that, we want to specify the wiggle is only for the Y value, so add 1 And don't forget to put semicolon after the line. Finally, set the value for the position, X, Y. Now let's set the shake value really high to see how it's working. Again, there are some issues with the edges, so let's add a motion tile effect before the transform. Set the mirror edges on and set the output height to 125. Now it is looking better. Let's set the shake value to 20. Looks good so far. Add another slider to the control layer. We'll use it to control the color effects. I'll just call it FX. Duplicate the shake layer, delete the effects, and rename it. Let's start with adding some blur. I'll add a Gaussian blur effect and increase the amount just a bit. Turn on the Repeat Edge Pixels checkbox. I'll also add a motion tile effect with the Mirror Edges checkbox on, and output width and height set to 102 to avoid transparency on the edges. Next, let's add an Unsharp Mask effect to increase the contrast between the footage colors. Set the amount to 200 and the radius to 7. Now let's adjust the luminosity. I'll add a Curves effect. We need to shrink the black and white ranges to make the footage kind of faded, and then add a small curve to increase the brightness. Next, let's adjust the colors. I'll use the Hue and Saturation effect for this. We'll work on each channel individually. Basically, I want to lower the saturation of the footage and adjust the colors so that they look a bit off, so I'll change the hue values as well. Just like that. Finally, let's link the FX layer opacity to the FX control and set it to 100. The next thing I would like to add are chromatic aberrations. Let's duplicate the FX layer, rename it to Aberrations, and clear it from the effects. Select the control layer and add another slider control. Add a tint effect to the Aberrations layer and set the black color to fuchsia, and the white color to cyan. After that, an emboss effect. Set the direction to 90 and the contrast to 50. Alt-click on the relief stopwatch and link it to the Aberrations control. The relief value should be relatively small, so I'll divide it by 10. Finally, change the Aberrations layer blending mode to hard light. Let's set the value to 20. There are some artifacts on the edges, so I'll add a motion tile effect and turn on the Mirror Edges checkbox. Let's even increase it up to 25. The next step is to add some stylized text elements. Add a text layer and type play. I'm using a specific font. You can find a link in the description. Let's set the text align to left and position it in the top left corner. I'll also put under the adjustment layers. Let's duplicate it and put the copy in the bottom left corner. Let's have a date here. Finally, let's have another copy for the time. I'll set the text align to the right and put it in the right corner. We want to be able to set the start time for the time text layer, so select the control layer and add a slider control. This one will be for the hours. I'll also make one copy for the minutes and one more for the seconds. Select the text layer and alt-click on the source text stopwatch. In the video description, you can find an expression that you should paste there. Let me explain how it works. First of all, it rounds downwards the hours, minutes, and seconds values that you set on the control layer. That's what the math floor function is about. Next, I'll set the clock rate to 1 second, which is regulars times speed. After that, the expression converts the start hours and minutes to seconds, and counts the current time by increasing this number by the clock rate each second. Then it converts the current time to hours, minutes, and seconds. Besides, there's a small function that adds a 0 to a number if it is less than 10, so that timer looks properly. Finally, it reveals the final result using this function. Let's try changing the values to see how it's working. Looks great! The cool thing about this expression is that the timer works automatically, and it begins a new minute or hour if it crosses the 59 seconds or the 59 minutes border. So, we have a ready-to-use VHS preset with some handy controls that you can adjust. You can easily increase the distortion and the aberrations for a heavily malfunctional look. Or just show the footage with cool retro color grading and some shaking. With the random seed control, you'll get unique results every time. And one more thing, if we delete the footage, we can use this preset as an overlay. Create a new comp and drop some pieces of footage there. Then put the VHS comp on top. Turn on the collapse transformation switch and you're ready to go. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Thanks for watching and see you soon.